Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ruckus and The Menace podcast. I am Ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus and The Menace.
So, Spennis, what have you been up to? I still have
Well,
my 10 fingers, so.
oh yeah, you're not pulling a JPP, are we?
I almost did, but we'll get to that later.
Oh my. Well, 4th of July weekend was great. I've caught up. I now have finally watched Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we are now, my girlfriend and I are now just 2 episodes behind on Miss Marvel, with the new episode coming out today. We saw Lightyear over the weekend, so that was nice. Some formulated plans for a week and a half from now to go see Thor: Love and Thunder together. So we're having a little bit of that. I've been messing around a little bit with MLB The Show, Tiny Tina, Wonderlands, Fall Guys, especially now that Fall Guys is now coming back into the mainstream again. Um, but really, I haven't been up to much.
Yeah, that was kind of me a little bit this weekend. Got to hang out with family on Saturday, and Friday I just kind of relaxed to get ready for the rest of the weekend that was to come. Really, I just binge watched a lot of shows that I like to watch, like Bar Rescue, while I was playing LB the Show, because you need something in the background if you're going to withstand hours upon hours of just playing a baseball game over and over and over just to
Oh, I keep
grind.
Twitch or YouTube up for mine just because of the setup.
Yep, that too. I well, I most of the time was watching YouTube because either I was curious and looked something up for like my 3D printing hobby, or I was just watching Linus Tech Tips or something like that. But yeah, and then there was also some other stuff that happened in the sports world, which we'll get into as well. But as far as the 4th of July was, did not blow any fingers. That was just a clickbait intro. Um, but Jason Pierre-Paul did, in fact, do that. Have some fingers missing, but it is what it is. Firecrackers are a pain in the butt. Especially if you can't get them to destroy a 3D print that I made. So I was trying to use ladyfingers, the a whole slab of those, put them in a plastic bucket with the two Army Men 3D prints that I made that were failure
Hmm.
prints because they were just really blobby and gross. Tried to see
Right.
if it would destroy them into smithereens. All it did was just give it a whole new look. It looked really dusty. So I was just like, okay, uh, cool,
so
but
so
lame.
so 3D prints are durable.
Yeah, they can be. There's a lot of it. There's like a whole world of possibilities that you could do with it. There's people that have even 3D printed a 3D printer, like made the parts for a 3D printer with PLA filament. Um, Prusa, which is a big, famous 3D print brand, uses all genuine E3D parts, but they also 3D print their own printer parts in a print farm. So the more you know. But yeah, as far as for the July win, it was fun. Shot some mortars, did some fun stuff, drank some beer, watched a lot of the Stranger Things, and I'm like halfway through season 4, and so far it's really good. I watched the first episode of it like a while, like Friday, Thursday, and was kind of like, okay, when is this gonna start getting good? And it wasn't until like probably the second episode till I was like, okay, this is bringing back some good old memories. Because the last time they had Stranger Things season 3 was like before COVID, 2019, I believe, or
Wow. So they
2018.
Wow, so they've been waiting a while, but that's because of the pandemic keeping everything out of that light.
Yeah, and like I don't know, that and then like Bar Rescue, I love watching it mainly because I like to see John Taffer yell at idiot managers that don't know what they're doing. Um, and as far as games went, Battlefield. If you have not played 2042 yet, or you're waiting for the dumpster fire to get singed over at EA, I mean it's still kind of got some hints of vaporized smoke or whatever, like little black singes, but most of it has gone away. They're also releasing an update for it coming tomorrow, which when you're recording or whenever by the time this is done recording, it'll probably already be out or it is out. Um, I am in love with that exposure map. So it brings a lot of good memories back from and vibes from past Battlefield games and yeah. To end my what I've been doing, me and Alex Mann played a little bit of Fall Guys. Game's okay, but I remember the good old days when you can collect crowns. But it is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, they and then they turn those crowns into kudos that you really I have so many kudos now that it's like can't use them.
Yeah, and they added the Master Chief skin to the game, which honestly I like the look of it. But then they also added a skin, or it wasn't even really a skin. It was like a helmet, like a top hat or whatever you had. But I'm not saying like a top hat as in like what Abe Lincoln would wear or whatnot. I'm
Helmet with
thinking,
cat ears. That
yeah, it
was
was a Master Chief hat with cat ears, and it was pink. It was cringe at best. But what isn't cringe nowadays? But yep,
true.
that sums up my weekend. Fun, mostly relaxing, but hot, and that's just July in the nutshell. All right, Spennis, you ready to start up with that weekly lineup?
Yep, sounds good. And we'll kind of start with a couple of quick football hits early on. Um, the late wide receiver Demarius Thomas, who passed away in December, was diagnosed by Boston University medical medical. He actually ended up with they post mortem found out that he had CTE.
I was about to just ask you if they found this out afterwards or beforehand.
Yeah, because oh yeah, when I was looking up CTE like a good bit while that while that was going on, it's like you cannot diagnose CTE until after the person is dead.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
what the movie Concussion is for.
I mean that's what this is I'm saying is that yeah, football is not a very safe sport. As much as they're trying to reduce the amount of things that affect the player's safety, it's there are definitely risks that
Yeah,
are involved when you play football.
and definitely with any other sport, but yeah, I can see how. Wait, can't you get CTE also from baseball and anything really if it's like a contact sport?
It is, it is, but for baseball, it is so rare. And basketball is a contact sport, but you don't often end up seeing a whole lot of concussions. Football has been probably the biggest thing that has caused that because it's a lot of the helmet to helmet, a lot of the hard hits using your head, and just the sheer amount of and I think even a good amount of combat sport athletes, especially like boxers and MMA fighters, may deal with symptoms of CT as well, just from getting hit in the head. Getting hit in the head would fit like getting punched and kicked in the head.
Yeah. So whenever they did figure out did they ever figure out the cause of death for Demarius Thomas, or was it just like
Um,
a stroke or something?
there was like I think like seizures involved with it,
Oh, that's
but
probably what
but
explains it.
but it was caused by but it was caused it ultimately had roots in CTE. It had root it looks like everything that was happening with Thomas was rooted in CTE. I will double check the cause of death on him.
Honestly, we could probably talk about it later. We should probably move on. What
But the
else
big
is
but the
next?
other big thing, um, yeah, it seems that it was stemmed from a medical issue. So like completely like yeah, so CTE would line up.
Yeah.
But USC and UCLA are preparing to head to the Big Ten here down the line. What is this ultimately going to mean for college football?
Not a whole lot because USC and UCLA haven't been very competitive in this recent like overcomings. Like, yeah, there are a lot of no-name players on those teams, and yes, in the past there were some really good players that came out of USC and UCLA. USC had, um, I believe, Juju Smith-Schuster, correct?
I mean, you had Juju, but you've had the likes come out of there like Carson Palmer, Reggie Bush. Um, I mean, if you even were to go back deeper into the history of
What
USC,
about
you would
Troy
have OJ,
Polamalu?
yeah, Troy Polamalu, OJ Simpson, Marcus Allen. Um, like there are good players that came out of USC, UCLA primarily on a
They on
basketball
the
sense.
SEC?
No, but No, but UCLA, they're going to the bit. These two schools are preparing to head to the Big Ten, not the SEC.
Well, I was saying, weren't they originally on the SEC before transferring to the Big Ten, or were they on
No,
the
no,
Pac-10 or 12?
no. Pac-12, Pac-12.
Okay.
They're going from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten.
Um,
Um,
if anything, to end my answer on what does this mean for college football, it could mean that the schedules get harder for USC and UCLA, as isn't Ohio State and Michigan in
Ohio
the Big Ten.
Ohio State and Michigan are in the Big Ten. Penn State's in the Big Ten. Um,
Yeah, they're gonna have a tougher schedule because in the Pac-12, ah crap, I don't even know much about
so,
who's in the
oh yeah,
Pac-12.
yeah. This is be where Pac-12, the Pac-12 is where your Oregon's, your Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Arizona State. I mean, you're leaving basically what USC and UCLA are doing, and this also not only from a football standpoint but a basketball standpoint. You've got USC and UCLA leaving powerhouse schools like Arizona and Oregon to deal with
Which
the Ohio States, the Michigans. Basketball wise, Michigan State,
That's what I
Penn
was about to
State.
ask. Is Michigan State? I was like, aren't they also in the Big Ten?
Yes, yes, that's also a basketball powerhouse. Iowa, Nebraska. Iowa's there, Nebraska's there. So I mean, we've got a whole bunch of schools that could eventually form. Like this is the beginning of the formation of the super conferences, and really, if we were to get this back to regional base, you would have to kind of blow everything up and start over, have some different things like realign. But I don't see that. I don't see that becoming a feature. This makes college sports even more chaotic than what they already are.
Yeah, and if you really think about it, like a couple of years ago, the Wichita State Shockers went from their Valley League to I think it was the Mountain Valley Conference to the American Conference, which the had the University of Houston and a few other
Yeah.
uh,
Oh yeah. But you have football is ultimately, I think, the number one motivator of these moves. But basketball is. But this also very much for USC and UCLA could very well also be effective basketball moves too.
Yeah, because like Wichita State was a good basketball school, but other than that, there wasn't a whole lot else besides that, besides baseball.
You'd you'd be surprised. Wichita State actually is actually primarily known for their men's bowling program.
Interesting. Good to know fact,
Yes,
because I went to Wichita State and I did not know that until you just told me.
yeah. Oh my gosh! Like, if you ever watch the PBA, so you would hear names like Chris Barnes, Sean Rash, like the whole bunch of players kind of known for coming out of that Wichita State line. And that also goes along with the sons of Chris Barnes, Parker Bone the third. One of Parker Bone the third's sons was at Wichita State as well. So it's come across a lot of PBA royalty in terms of bowlers coming out of that college that has won a lot of national championships.
Yeah. Any
Yeah.
more? We already talked
Um,
about. Oh wait, we already talked about
we went
football.
through
Demarius
football.
Thomas.
I'm gonna go through a couple of these other like smaller things. We'll get to the breaking. Actually, let's go to the breaking one now. That Baker Mayfield has now been traded.
And it was not to the Seattle Seahawks like people were hoping for Drew
Oh,
Lock.
I knew exactly what was going to happen. I think I told you this like months ago that ultimately I think that Baker Mayfield was going to end up in Carolina.
Yeah,
They,
I was a bit surprised by it, but also at the same time, the Panthers do need a steady quarterback and not just one with steady hands or looks good for a couple games. They need a standout quarterback because that used to be Cam Newton back in 2012, and then he slowly died off, and then he came back last season for a little bit and then died off again. So if I am happy that Baker is in a better place compared to the dumpster fire that is the Browns, because polishing instead of getting more shoe polish to polish off that turd um, over the Browns, he just decided screw it. I want to be traded. I don't want to deal with you guys anymore.
well,
And so he
I think the Browns lost faith in him. I think that the whole franchise had lost a whole bunch of faith in him. He now gets to transition from Cleveland to Charlotte, and I don't even. The only issue I have with this is that I don't think that this was Baker's first choice.
did he have other choices that the Browns are willing to deal with. To be honest, like the Browns wanted, if they really wanted a fifth round pick, uh, obviously they got it here in Carolina. But at the same time, Baker didn't. From what the media was trying to portray, they made it sound like Baker didn't want to be with the Browns anymore. Because Baker even said in podcasts like, "Hey, I don't want to be in Cleveland
Oh
anymore."
yeah, oh yeah. Baker didn't want to be in Cleveland, but I don't. But I think I think it was like as far as a fit, it didn't seem like Carolina was going to be the best choice. But then Seattle rejected, so
Blame
Carolina
Seattle.
had to. So Carolina had to be. I think you. I don't think you could blame Seattle that much, but I think that Carolina was the team that probably most likely would have made the splash for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
Just
they need a quarterback. Sam Darnold ain't it, Chief.
was Sam Darnold ever it?
No, but he looked good in spurts on that first couple of games, and then he just went into a Benny Hill state for the rest of the season. And then they ended up saying, you know what, let's try PJ Walker. And then, like, literally a couple snaps later, they're like, you know what, is Sam Darnold
Let's sign
healthy?
Cam Newton.
Yeah. Okay, well, do Sam Darnold a little bit. No, he still sucks. All right, let's go to Cam Newton. Is Cam Newton gonna get it for us? Okay, he looked good the first game, and then he sucked. All right, now, okay,
I'm
season's
sorry.
over.
The issue is the coach in Carolina is a hot mess. I am surprised that he still has his coaching job after last season's debacle.
I'm surprised Bill O'Brien still has a coaching job that isn't in the NFL
Um,
after the
I-
dumpster fire that was Houston.
I think that Bill O'Brien was a better coordinator instead of a coach. So that's why I think he's an excellent fit in Alabama, where he's with Nick Saban. So the fit may be better there for Bill O'Brien than what the Houston Texans ever was.
Yep. Yeah, I don't
Or
know. Baker, back to the whole Browns thing. Sorry for cutting you off.
yeah,
Baker, I think he'll have a better time in Carolina, just in general. And I think it's hilarious that after that aftermath, the Carolina Panthers face the Cleveland Browns in Week 1 of this
opening
season,
weekend.
which is
Yep.
which is hilarious because one, if Baker Mayfield starts that game for the
It's
Panthers,
a revenge game. It's a revenge game right out of the gate.
and maybe he does one of those crotch holds like he did with Oklahoma back in his senior year, against Texas, I think it was. That he did the crotch hold and then he got suspended for like the first part of his senior game.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But I will but for where I was going to go after that, I mean, now that we're going to transition from Baker Mayfield, I'm also going to talk about Wimbledon. Wimbledon wraps up this weekend. Djokovic and Nadal are both in the semis. Nadal has already won both the Australian Open, which Djokovic could not compete in, and the French Open, where Nadal is the king of clay. They're in the semifinals. Nadal is going to take on Nick Kyrgios. So we've got ourselves a very entertaining final few days of Wimbledon. But now we
uh,
get into
can I
our little
ask you a little question?
what's up?
If Hollywood were to make a movie about Wimbledon, like Rafael Nadal, do you think Benedict Cumberbatch would be the guy that plays Rafael Nadal?
No, Benedict Cumberbatch is a little too English to play a Spaniard.
I mean, to be honest with you, uh, was it his name? It wasn't Carl. The guy Rick. Rick on The Walking Dead plays an American, and he's British or Aussie.
Yeah, but you could get away with that a little bit more when you have those three, like an Aussie playing an American or an American playing a Brit or something like that, especially if you can pull off like something like that. The hard part about this is that Nadal was also Spanish.
Yeah.
So that may not work out as well. But speaking of things of whether or not we see whether they work or not, the Padres City Connect jerseys. Are these more of a rock or a drop for you?
I mean, if I had to be seen in public wearing them, I would probably rock it. But would I buy one right now? No. It looks
Yeah.
alright. It's okay. So I'm gonna say drop.
Yeah, I think I'm also in the same boat of this thing is okay. It looks a little odd because you've got like one almost like one side's pink, one side's green, and I just do not like the green on it. Not overly thrilled on the green. The hat looks okay. Like the hat looks all right. I just am not necessarily like it's not a hat I would wear because it's that it looks like it's too mint of a green. I wish they would have like made that be a little bit duller, but with the vibrant colors, it doesn't surprise me that they went in that direction. So I mean,
Yeah.
I would probably give it like a very very soft drop, but it doesn't look bad. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me personally.
Nickelodeon called. They want their jerseys back.
Uh I just think that they look like they would go more so with a festival that is up here because of the pink and the green, not so much to represent the city of San Diego.
Yeah, that is true.
But I'm going to close this thing out with a big 4th of July thing involving a Joey Chestnut. He won his 15th Nathan's hot dog eating competition by eating 63 hot dogs, 23 dogs further ahead than the person who was in second place. But this was all the while he was injured and was rudely interrupted by an animal rights protester wearing a Darth Vader mask and holding a sign that says expose Smithfield's Death Star. And he subdued him with a chokehold 17 dogs into the competition.
God, I'd puke if I even tried that. I can't even hold like four.
Yeah, he was 17 dogs in. And I was looking up some stuff while I was at work earlier today. He's got like 55 competitive eating records. His record for the dogs and buns that he did last year, he did 76 hot dogs and buns. That equates to the time and length of the contest being with it being 10 minutes. He had to do he had to eat one dog every roughly 8 seconds.
Good God.
He had a record for 121 Twinkies in 6 minutes. That's a Twinkie roughly every 3 seconds. So he's got a lot of crazy records
He is
in
proud to
terms of
be an
competitive.
American.
And we Americans know how to eat
Too well. Too well.
all too well. But Ruckus, now that we've kind of gotten into the president, even a little bit into some of the past of
Let's get
things,
into some sports history.
history. And this is interesting because we're at a time of the year where normally the MLB All-Star game is a thing. And the first one of those was played in 1933. The American League won 4-2 at Comiskey Park. The Cy Young Award was inaugurated by Commissioner Ford Frick in 1956.
What a last name.
I knew you were gonna go there, and I think there's also like a whole bunch of other like awards named after this guy too. So, but then also to go along with the All Star Game thing in 1989, Mike Schmidt becomes the first ever retired player to be voted into the MLB All Star Game. He turned down playing.
Was this like a year after he retired?
It was something along those lines.
That would make more sense. Like if he was like 50 and they're like, "Hey man, let's vote him in just for shits and giggles," and
Yeah.
he's just like, "Sorry guys."
But in 1997, for the Montreal Expos, not only was Jackie Robinson's number retired because it was retired universally, the Montreal Expos also retired Andre Dawson's number of 10. of course, the Expos later on have now since become the Washington Nationals, which I believe, if I remember this correctly, I think all of the Expos numbers still hold up as far as their like what numbers you can wear and not wear as a member of the Washington Nationals. But Ruckus, here's the one for you.
2020, Patrick Mahomes signs a 12-year deal with the potential worth of $500 million with the pinky next to your mouth right there. Billion. And laser beams. Laser beams.
You
Sorry, I had to.
forgot the you I knew where you were going with that, but you just forgot the air quotes on laser.
Laser. Now I'm going into dodgeball references. Blazer.
Oh, no. You knew where I was going with what I said.
Yeah.
I was following along with your Austin Powers
Yeah, the sharks with lasers.
yeah, and the liquid hot magma.
Sketchy do. Sketchy do. And then you have a gold member. I love gold. Which Patrick Mahomes also loves gold, but he would rather have half a billion, worth more.
Oh, I think he'd rather have Super Bowls, but
There you go. There you go. Even better.
now that we've kind of had this go completely off the rails, we now can get into our high heat, which is NBA free agency. A lot of different things happen, a lot of movement throughout this free agency. A lot of, like some players signed major extensions. Devin Booker extended with the Suns. Bradley Beal gets a 5-year extension in DC.
Giannis.
Giannis getting it doesn't look like Giannis's was officially put in. I think it might have been a restructure.
It said opt in with Milwaukee on
Well, it's an
NBA.com.
opt-in, yeah. Yeah, it was an opt-in. Yeah, that one looked like it was more an opt-in.
Bradley Beal.
I already said Beal.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Kevon Looney returning to Golden State. Nikola Jokic was the big extension there, where he had like a
Yeah.
huge, and then Darius Garland for Cleveland. So we've got a lot of players that had some major movement. So my question to you, Ruckus, which moves do you think made or will have the biggest impact on the NBA moving forward in terms of a player coming in as a free agent?
Like, are you asking me who the biggest impact player is for a team? Like,
Or
that
who
has
yeah,
currently
yeah,
been
like
signed, or like one that could be signed later?
currently been signed.
Um, to be honest with you, um, that's kind of a tough one because there's a lot of them, like Giannis, maybe if he gets re-signed with Milwaukee, that would be a big turning point. Beal, I guess, would be a turning point for the Wizards. You could say that for a lot of these guys. I would say right now, Nikolai Jokic, because he almost got them over the Warriors at one point in the playoffs. I mean, yes, they lost to the Warriors in the playoffs, but like they looked like they were missing a few pieces, but I feel like they can still do it if they play their cards right. Um,
Say in terms of players that agreed to extensions, in terms of extended players, I am going to throw Darius Garland in that equation just simply because of the extension to Cleveland. that really not many people kind of want to stay in Cleveland. But yet
That
the
or they go to
Cavaliers have
South
built
Beach.
themselves. I see where you went there. And I think that major move happened at least within roughly of the week. But I think the actual day that that happened is actually going to be between episodes. So we won't unfortunately have a mention of the decision. But where I was going with that is that Cleveland was a borderline playoff team, and Darius Garland was a major key piece to that. So I think that as far as players agreeing to extensions, like one of the lower profile things, I mean, obvious that Ja Morant's going to make an impact. It's obvious that Nikola Jokic is going to make an impact. But one that may not show like it initially looks like he can make an impact, but very well could, especially because age wise he'll be ascending into the prime of his career, is Darius Garland. And then as far as players that were free agents and chose to go back to their team that they were previously playing for, is actually for me Zach Levine.
Yeah, that'd be a big one for me as well because Levine, even though he's mostly known for his 3-point stroke, but also his many slam dunk championships that he's had in the All Star weekends, uh, I think he's still got some potential, and he could definitely, if he stays healthy with the others on the Bulls, especially now that they have Andre Drummond as their center as well. I don't think he'll be like a starting center, but he could sure as hell help them out when they need to. Um, yeah, the Bulls looked really good at the beginning of the season and near the end of the season last year, and they could be a little bit. They could have a little bit more ammo.
I think the only thing that's tough about the with the move I was talking about earlier is that Colin Sexton right now is a restricted free agent. But with the Bulls, they didn't necessarily have to draft much. They still have Nikola Vuc. I think they still have Vucevic as well. So that also makes a lot of sense. But it looks like Jalen Brunson also is on the move too.
Did he go to the
I think
Knicks?
he think he's go think he's in New York.
I think I saw a report where he said that he was letting the Mavericks know that he was going to the Knicks like a week
Yeah.
ago.
Yep. All right. But now that we've kind of also had players ultimately get picked up in free agency, what about some of the trades that occurred?
Rudy
Which
Gobert was the big one to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I do think that the Gobert trade is huge. The Jazz ultimately get Malik Beasley, Pat Bev, the number 22 overall pick, which was Walker Kessler, Jared Vanderbilt, Leandro Balmaro, but they also will get a 2023 first round pick from the Timberwolves, 2025 pick from the Timberwolves, a pick swap in 2026, and first round picks in 27 and 29. The 29 pick is protected. So Minnesota gave up a whole bunch for a player that maybe playstyle wise is more of an interior player, which allows Cat to be able to spread the floor.
Yeah, you also still have D'Angelo Russell and Carl Anthony Towns and
Oh yeah, of course they can, but Anthony Edwards was the other one you were. I think Anthony Edwards was the other one you were trying to say.
yeah, like they have some young bucks, but they also have other talent that can bring him over the hump, over the edge.
I think a deal that might be a little underrated, especially if the Kings can actually do something with it, is actually the Kevin Herter deal with him going to Atlanta. Atlanta maybe getting a little maybe getting a little bit richer in terms of pick assets, but the Kings getting Kevin Herter who wasn't playing bad in Atlanta. But then the Hawks also just ended up getting Dejounte Murray. They also shipped off Danilo Gallinari to the Spurs, who the Spurs will also release. Gallinari's potential destination from there is to go to the Celtics.
What about the Nuggets landing Caldwell Pope? That's probably a big boost to their like 3 point range right there, and just give and go.
That is if he doesn't end up being a Contavious Caldwell dope at that point.
Uh-oh. Well, isn't it
Because
legal in Denver though? Won't he be fine?
there was that, but I was also saying that Contavious Caldwell Pope is known for a lot of boneheaded things, especially in LA.
Well, LA causes cancer, so that's okay. He could come to Denver where there is no Prop 65 on his
Yeah,
forehead.
but Monty Morris and Will Barton going to DC. I'd be more excited to see what Will Barton does, but he also plays a lot of the similar position that Bradley Beal does.
How do you feel about this trade from the Mavericks to the Rockets, where the Mavericks get Christian Wood, and the Rockets get a whole haul of Sterling Brown, Marquise Chris, Boban Marjanovic, Trey Burke, and Wendell Moore?
Oh, I think yeah, you're going to see a whole lot of players give up a lot. You're going to see a whole lot of things give up a lot, but it's not a bad thing. But it may not be a bad thing.
And then Kemba Walker going to the Pistons is a big one too.
Kemba to Detroit is huge, especially because we don't know how much further along certain things are going to be in that regard.
Do you think he's
Because
going to be the next Chauncey Billups?
mm, if they would have gotten him at a whole lot younger of an age,
He can still turn it around though.
yep. But now we get to run into now that we have the players who have already moved. Let's get into some of the players who have not done any movement yet and see who all is still on the board.
LaMarcus Aldridge, Carmelo Anthony, Giannis, of course, hasn't done anything yet.
No,
Trevor Reese.
that's not Giannis. That's Thanasis.
Oh,
Thanasis has no. Thanasis looks like, according to NBA.com, he's opted in with Milwaukee. That's Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
That's
That's
my
his.
bad. Oh well.
But
Thanasis
Trev,
Giannis. What's the difference? No, I'm just kidding. I know the difference. I'm just being a jerk. Mello is also on that list. Trevor Ariza, DeAndre Ayton. I'm surprised he hasn't been signed yet by the Suns. Maybe he's asking for more money, and the Suns don't want to give him that because they just gave Booker the bag. Um, Marvin Bagley. Oh, never mind. He re-signed with Detroit.
Detroit. Yep.
Let's see here.
I see that
Mo Bamba.
Jalen Brunson's is not official yet.
Bull. Avery Bradley. Uh,
DeMarcus Cousins, Jarrett Culver.
Michael Carter Williams. Gary
Hang on, we got
Clark. Sharif Cooper. Demarcus
um
Cousins.
the Dante. It says the Dante DiVincenzo's thing is not official, but his new team should be Golden State.
Wayne
Gord
Ellington.
Gorgie did. Okay, Goran Dragic is a bull. So the
Um, what about NS
NBA.com may
Freedom?
actually. You said which one? Ennis. Oh, Ennis. Oh, you mean Ennis Cantor?
What's the difference?
Oh my gosh.
Why did he change
Uh,
his name?
Turkey, I believe. But James Harden is a free agent still. James Harden's a free agent. Montrezl Harrell's a free agent. Miles Bridges could be going to jail instead of another NBA team.
What about? I thought
Um,
Harrell was also in some legal trouble.
I don't know if Trez is. I don't know if Trez is or not, or
Maybe
at
he
least I
had
can't.
some injury problems. I don't remember. I
Uh,
thought I
looks like
saw something where he got arrested.
yeah, yeah, I did see that. Serge Ibaka looks like he's also staying put. Dwight just hasn't been officially marked in there. Kyrie opted in with Brooklyn, which with KD wanting out of there may not necessarily may not have been the best move. I think DeAndre Jordan. I just saw something with him.
Dude,
Is
I
he with
think it'd
the?
be awesome to see Kevin Durant in a Miami Heat jersey.
I think that's ultimately where I think it's the number one place that I feel like Kevin Durant is probably going to go.
Him
But
and
where
Butler would
that,
be an interesting pair.
yeah, yeah, I can agree on that. But there's a lot, like there really is a lot of movement, and there will continue to be movement just so long as you still have a lot of big names hanging around. But now that now that a lot of these teams that have been doing free agents are working on setting their lineups for the next season, it's time for us to set ours. Setting the lineup is a weekly segment where Ruckus and I have the start bench cut scenario, and today's is a little bit more of a 4th of July theme where we just decided now that we're kind of going to do this one a little bit more about anything. I mean, we have all the sports scenarios in the world, but we can kind of do this a little bit more off topic if we need to.
Prepare to be pissed off at me for making you hungry if you're listening to this, listeners.
Yes. Yes, we at this point right now, this is the trigger warning here of we shall not advise you to listen to this segment on an empty stomach.
Or at least have some thoughts about lunch or dinner whenever you listen to this. But hey,
Right.
it is what it is. You chose to listen to this podcast because we're awesome and you love us.
All right, so the topic here is 4th of July cookout meats. Choosing 2 to start and 2 to bench. Ribs, brisket, chicken, burgers, hot dogs, brats, shrimp, and pulled pork.
Um, I think my first two that I'm gonna start are brisket. It's gonna be in right field next to his buddy the brats, and then the bench is gonna be warmed by shrimp and burgers.
Hmm. I have taken that my 1-2 punch is going to consist of the ribs and the chicken, and then on the bench is going to be the burger and the shrimp. Actually, I am cutting the brisket. I am cutting the brisket. I don't mind brisket, especially if it's good one. I gotta go with the shrimp.
Yeah, I like brats. If like my dad's like shows me a package of brats and is like and I'm just like sure, but like Beer brats, no thanks.
Cheddar Wurst.
eh,
The Cheddar
just straight up
Wurst.
brats. Meat,
Uh,
no. I will give you this. There's a quick trips around me. It used to have this dog that was called the cheeseburger dog, and it like literally had. I don't know if it was like cheese, like hamburger meat inside it, but anyways, it had meat and cheese all infused into it. So good,
yeah.
so good.
So you've got so there's ways where it definitely works itself out.
And
So
now
from
all of
this,
our listeners have gone into a food coma.
oh my. But now, Ruckus, let's go ahead and get into the simulation.
All right, do we want to do? All right, so on the simulation, MLB The Show has unveiled its monthly awards program for the month of June, and today Jordan was the Lightning player, and still is the Lightning player. There is also a new showdown for the player program and a new mini season's goals, including I have not seen the showdown, but the new mini season's goal is to win a game on legendary difficulty in the
There is
mini
one where
seasons.
you learn where you do that. I was able to successfully complete it today, so
I'm
and
on
I was
my way
actually
to
able,
doing it.
yeah. So it's like Jordan Alvarez. The player does look the player does look decent, but I really am becoming a lot less thrilled with the amount of left-handed bats that have been present as Lightning players.
Yeah, seriously, what the hell?
I was
Just
hoping for like a Sandy Alcantara, but I think they're saving. I think they're going to be doing a lot of saving of him for that finest that's going to come out at the end of the season, or this All Star version that we're about to get.
I think compared to last year's game, the monthlies have been kind of weird. Like they just feel like they were kind of picked out of thin air. Like they just kind of like put a bunch of names into a hat and then just kind of shook it a little bit and then
Oh, I think that the tops nows that they selected were very much off of players who were supercharged, and it felt very heavily like as if they were players that were supercharged this month. And then on top of that, I'm not as huge on the new structure of the program because it feels so much like a chore. It feels so much like a chore just to get through, like grinding through the mission. Granted that mini seasons can make a lot of that easier, but it still feels like a chore.
yeah, I remember last game it was pretty easy to like level your guys and then you didn't have to like do a whole lot just to, like get to the other packs just to get to the big names. Like I felt like I was doing a lot more, like you were saying, just to just get this one player that I would either have on my bench or like be playing with. Other than that, like it is what it is. I do like the fact though that they brought in for their Lightning series player, like their legendary one or whatever it is. Like usually it's an older player or it has been the past couple times. This time it was Chris Sale, which I am excited to use. It's probably gonna be like about the same stance as he already has now, or with his diamond card. But man, I am pumped to use that card because it is his White Sox card.
Yep.
The Jordan Alvarez thing, I'm not really too like impressed or like really uh like excited to use that card. I'm more just wanting to get that whole thing done so that I can get through the collection on the program for the monthly because the monthly has some new players in it and some Takashi cards. Uh Venice, do you
Yep.
know off the top of your head which ones? So actually
Of the the players that were in the program.
yes.
Okay, so we ended up in the 93 overalls. We had Brandon Drury, Jorge Lopez, Jorge Lopez of the Orioles, Daniel Hudson of the Dodgers, of course, Drury of the Reds, Lopez of the Orioles, John Birdie of the Marlins, Taiwan Walker of the Mets, and Teoscar Hernandez of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Wasn't Daniel Hudson also in the mix for that, or did you already
Yeah, I mentioned Hudson. And
rip his
then
arm?
and then the 95 overalls for the player of the month are Brian Reynolds of the Pirates, John Gray of the Texas Rangers, and Kyle Schwarber of the Phillies. Before you get to the 130 or at 125 points, you will have five players which are required to complete the collection in order for you to reach stage 3. And once you get through that, you'll have another Always Intense pack, another Takashi Legends pack, which for me is just, with what I have anymore, free stubs. It's just free stuff. It's just free stubs. That's all it is.
You got all the Takashi cards?
I have all of them.
Good God, son.
I have all 5 from the pack.
Oh, all five of the 88s. I see.
Yep, I have all 5 of the 88s.
Okay, I was about to be like, God damn, dude, you got all of them already? Because you still have
Still have
Raleigh
all
Fingers,
the.
Stan Musial, and the other ones that are 96 to
Yep,
do.
yep. And with me getting through a certain point of the program, that will get me the 1-2 that I would need to get Babe Ruth, which will put me another step closer, well, it would get me one card away from getting Babe Ruth. But I'm sure that we will soon be seeing something that will get the other cards in the packs accessible to us in some way, shape, or form. So Babe Ruth will become eventually a thing for me to have as well. Somewhere along the processes of the program is another cover athlete. Is that the cover athletes? I think I get another one of them coming soon. Yep, at 280,000 in the program, you get another cover athlete, and I'm only about halfway through that. At 300,000 in the program, be mindful here. We do have a prime Fernando Valenzuela, and those are the one. So it's 250 for your first Sizzling Summer Boss pack, and 325 is your second one. So really, for me, my ultimate goal is to try and get to 500,000, but I wouldn't mind getting to 625,000 if I can manage to take the game long enough.
Yeah. Um. So, what do you think? What do you think now for the War Room and simulation? Do you think we should go to our War Room segment, or should we?
Give me just one moment here. And we should be. All right. And we now are set for the war room. And this week's War Room will be a team builder with a little bit of a twist. We each will get a wheel for a position, and we will draft NBA free agents or players that have moved and signed with other teams during this offseason. This can include, this may include players that did we just trying to remember, did we include players that have been traded or did we take them out?
I think we took them out because they weren't free agents. They were just
Yeah.
current players that were
Yeah.
traded.
Okay, so we took out players that were traded.
So the
So we
exception
basically will be
was if you get if the player already re-signed with another team or got an extension, then they would be
yeah.
able to be
Yeah.
picked. But trades
Extension,
no.
yeah, that extensions counted, but trades did not. Okay. All right, so what I have done is I put a point guard, a shooting guard, a small forward, a power forward, a center. That is if we have like players amongst all five. And then there's a picker's choice that is involved. If you get picker's choice can be done at any time. All right. Ready, Ruckus?
Yes, sir.
Your wheel is there. And you are starting with a point guard. Meanwhile,
Right.
I will be looking at a shooting guard. My shooting guard thought out.
Trying to figure out my point guard. Cause is there a way you could filter this? Oh, here we go. That makes life so much easier. Is it also okay if the team or if that player opts in with their current team?
Are you taking Kyrie?
I was thinking between Russell Westbrook or maybe
Has Russ?
Kyrie. I don't know, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of good choices here, and
Yeah, I don't think an opt-in counts as much due to that. So you might have to actually find something a little different. I do see one that really sticks out that you could consider.
who is that?
Um, saw Goran Dragic, but you've also got Darius Garland.
Hmm.
You also have options of Dante DiVincenzo, John Wall.
John Wall doesn't sound like a bad option. Let's do him.
Wow. I am shocked that you did that. But because I am taking Zach Levine.
I was thinking about doing that, but then I was just like, well,
Well,
he's not really a
I
proven point guard.
he's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard. All right. And now I actually need to mark what you have here. So you had John Wall as a point guard, and I had Zach Levine as a shooting guard. All right, so round two for you, Ruckus. You are getting a small forward.
Hmm.
I already have a shooting guard, so I gotta spin again. I already have a shooting guard. Stop spinning to it. All right. I get all right. So I get to. So you will have a small forward to pick from, and I get player's choice. I get picker's choice.
My God, why is it taking me so long to like figure out who I want? Um,
Hmm. Man, I got like one of two options that I want to look into.
God damn, this is so hard.
Because you're looking for a small forward, aren't you?
I'm looking for a good small forward.
Let's see. You have Kyle. A couple of the ones I'm seeing here. You have Kyle Anderson. Um,
Carmelo Anthony could be one. Trevor Ariza.
Nicholas Batum. Joe Ingles.
PJ Tucker. James
Um,
Harden.
not a small forward. You've got Danilo Gallinari.
Man, I really
TJ.
know how to take my time. Um, you know, I was thinking Kevin Durant, but that doesn't really count in this stage.
Not yet. Not yet. Anyway.
So I don't really want to bend the rules a whole lot. So I'm going to say Carmelo because I was thinking LeBron, but he's still with the Lakers from as far as I
Yeah.
know.
My player's
Okay.
choice. I'm torn between either taking my center or my point guard. I think I am going to take my center here. I'm taking Mitchell Robinson,
Who does he play for?
who believe if I saw this correctly, he signed an extension with the Knicks. That he extended in New York. Because Carl Anthony Towns is going to be considered a power forward here. Where is he? Gill, PJ Tucker.
Wasn't Towns still with the Timberwolves though? Didn't he already?
Yeah, he would have counted due to an extension.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay.
I did see this thing on Mitchell Robinson. I know he was here. It was very early in free agency that this happened too. So heck,
You could have done Jokic if you really wanted to.
I could have, yeah, but I think because we're wanting to actually really take advantage of players who are in free agency. Yeah, it was a 4-year, $60 million deal that, and it actually was a re-signing. So since we're really kind of like, I think we're trying to stay away from like some of the bigger names, unless that big name really, really. And I'm going to take this. I'm going to take the first spin here as it's a point guard. And Ruckus, you get a shooting guard.
So, shooting guard. On
You are at a
guard.
you are at a
Uh,
shooting guard. I get a point guard. And just a heads up, if I end up spinning a picker's choice again, it is an unlimited picker's choice.
Right.
It just allows me to choose.
Picking Bradley Beal.
Oh, you're gonna do Bradley Beal? So you had to go with the bigger name. I'm I was
I
also shocked that
mean,
also at shooting guard. Well, at shooting guard, I also could have technically taken Devin Booker,
damn, I could have picked him too, but it is what it is.
but because I'm like leaving, I'm more so looking for like guys that are like legitimate free agents, or at least like something fairly reasonable. I'm taking. I'm actually going to take what I was originally going to do, or what I was trying to steer you to anyway. I'm taking Darius Garland.
I figured I'd let you have that pick.
Yep. All right, round 4. Power forward. Both taking power forwards.
Could Jokic technically be a power forward, or is that cheating?
No, no, he is not a power forward. And your last one and your fifth pick is going to be a center. I have a small forward.
Can I pick Karl Anthony Towns as my power forward?
Yes, you can.
And then my center will be Jokic, unless you take him.
Why would you? I really don't think we counted players on extension as well. I really think we discounted players on extension. To be,
Oh, no Jokic.
I really think we did, and that also would take out Towns from you too. But I think that also would take no, because Levine was a resign, Robinson was a resign. I think Garland was a resign. No, Garland. I think it would take away Garland from me as well. So I think Garland was an extension as well. I think Darius Garland was an extension. It said it was a new.
Alright, in that case, I'll do Andre Drummond. Because I don't. Because did,
Oh yeah, yeah. I would have to take. Yeah, I'd have to take Darius Garland out.
Is DeAndre Jordan still.
DeAndre Jordan, I believe, actually is. Or DeAndre Jordan would count because he's still technically a free agent too.
Can I count him as a power forward?
No, no,
Um.
DeAndre. No, DeAndre Jordan's the center.
Ooh, JaVale McGee.
Somebody had to take Tragic Bronson. Where am I at? Okay. Wow.
Could have took a
Well,
Lance Stevenson if you really wanted to.
here's what I'm gonna do. I'm dropping because I can't take because I cannot take because I cannot take Darius Garland. I'm gonna take Jalen Brunson.
I will switch out my Bradley Beal one as well. Because that
Yeah,
one.
because I think Beals was also an extent. Well, actually, Beal opted out of his deal initially.
Okay, so. It's
So
okay then.
Beal might be okay. I think Beal
Honestly, I want to be
qualifies.
fair. and just take Kent Bazemore instead because he's also a shooting
Uh,
guard.
oh, you're gonna take Bazemore? All right.
Yeah, let's. I want to be fair with this.
Hammond Herder.
So I
Okay.
have John Wall, Carmelo Anthony, Kent Bazemore, JaVale McGee, and Andre Drummond. I was technically well. Are you taking DeAndre Jordan or no?
Cannot take DeAndre Jordan. I cannot take DeAndre Jordan because I already have my center.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I will. I'm gonna change my mind for like the 10,000th time because I need guys that can rebound, not just block. This just in, I won my game on Legend with mini seasons on the first
Oh,
try.
nice. I'm between taking Juan Toscano Anderson or I think I'm gonna go. I think I've got my forwards figured out. All right, so my five are going to consist of Zach Levine, Mitchell Robinson, Jalen Brunson, Nicholas Batum, and Juan Toscano Anderson.
Right.
All right. So now that we've kind of picked up like our done our drafting of free agents, it's now time for our weekly stud and dud. Ruckus, go ahead and what's funny about this is that you and I both, for some stupid reason, picked the exact same stud for two different reasons.
Well, Cotton, my my stud Max Scherzer is also on my fantasy team that is in my uh company's fantasy baseball league that we have. He came back from his rehab stint and he just balled out. He made 10 people on his with his 20th career game of 10 strikeouts or more, which is impressive. The only one to do more is the unit Randy or no not the unit. It was Kurt Schilling that did more with
No, no, he
36.
no, no. He tied Kurt Schilling. Tied Kurt Schilling. It is actually Randy Johnson that has the most.
Okay, yeah. So I was right the first time and then second guessed myself, but thank you. Uh, but yeah, he's my stud for that reason. I'll let Spennis do it for his here in a second. And then my honorable mention for a stud was Vinny Pasquantino for his first hit being a homer. And at first, it wasn't even really a homer because the ump called him out at second when Javi Baez was like, you know what? I think that was a homer, ref. I think you were tripping on something. And then the ump was like, oh yeah. And then he started doing the little home run symbol that you do with your finger. Did the little
Yeah.
helicopter.
Okay. Well, the funny thing about this is that while Ruckus is talking more about Max Scherzer after the rehab stint, my stud moment came while he was there. During his rehab assignment, Mets pitcher Max Scherzer took care of his minor league rehab assignment teammates. because normally whenever that happens, it's tradition that the major leaguer will buy the post game spread as far as dinner. It was a it was an approximately a $7,000 spread involving like lobster, like steaks, and he bought every single one of them all a pair of AirPods. So Max Scherzer pretty much was able to give back to his teammates in a minor league rehab assignment by pretty much spending a good amount of money and just being a person who is a teammate amongst all levels. My honorable mention, though, was the Minnesota Twins for taking advantage of a White Sox base running mistake to get a triple play, which does not happen often, let alone also a triple play that started out with the first out being made in center field. But Ruckus, now that we've kind of gone through the good, let's go through the not so good.
Well,
What was your dud?
my dud was for a different reason or thought process than what Spennis had at the beginning when we were writing this. My
Oh, and
dud.
it hasn't changed.
so,
I see this completely from a different angle.
um, so if you're not familiar with Twitter, there's a lot of toxicity and random joking that goes around. But this one was more of a just really funny, wholesome one. A random Seattle Seahawks fan on Twitter roasted the U.S. Open Twitter account,
And
or
this
he
is the
gets
U.S. Open for
roasted.
tennis.
He was trying to roast the U.S. Open tennis Twitter account by saying that it's boring or whatever, la da, just kind of trash talking. And so the U.S. Open Twitter account sent a reply back of a picture of stats showing the top 40 QBR rating for quarterbacks, and it showed Drew Lock at number 40. And then obviously more banter went along, and then finally Drew Lock himself on Twitter thumbs gave a thumbs up to the U.S. Open Twitter account. But the dud in question is the random Seattle fan.
Saw this more from the U.S. Open side of just completely like ripping this this fan like you're gonna say that tennis is boring? No, we're gonna hit you with some facts with spewing from our tennis racket.
They're gonna cause a racket, you could say.
Ah.
And that's where I get the duct tape on the mouth.
Oh my, but my I ended up with two duds this week, and both of them were for very interesting reasons. The dud that I'm going to throw here that may not be so much of a dud for that was almost studly in terms of the concept, but the reason behind it completely being missed was my dud was to Google StatCast for a joke analysis during a Brewers game where Corbin Burns had sprinted to the dugout due to, which the real reason was due to a challenge in a running contest with catcher Omar Narvaez rather than what was said on the graphic of Burns needing to go to the bathroom. I mean, he sprinted 20 miles an hour out of the dugout from a pop fly. Like, it was a pop fly that he caught for the third out, and all of a sudden you just see him just take off. And it's just Omar Narvaez saying that the pitchers aren't athletic. The pitchers aren't athletic. It's like, think again. Think again, catcher. But the real honorable mention, which is even more hilarious, this happened at a college wood bat like summer league. a streaker ended up at a Portland Pickles game. I mean, this isn't Oregon for crying out loud, but the mascot is a pickle. The streaker got the wood laid to him by a mascot who, lo and behold, is a guy inside of a pickle suit. I mean, basically, it's almost like this guy got laid out by Pickle Rick.
Funniest thing I've ever seen.
Oh my god, I remember seeing the clip. It's like one of us nearly put Joey Chestnut in here, which that was an honorable mention of itself that we mentioned at the top of the program. But even Joey Chestnut's whole thing there would just subdue the guy. 17 dogs into the contest.
Could you imagine chokeholding a dude after eating like 17 freaking hot dogs? Like, are you kidding me? Like, even if it's a different number than what I just said, still, I'd probably have a hard time doing that with my size as it
It's
is.
almost like having a hard time focusing afterward. I mean, Joey Chestnut's not a small dude.
Get
By
over
any
here.
s-
That's what I think of in my mind whenever he does the chokehold. Just
Whenever we watch the clip back.
he's just like hom nom nom nom. He's like Cookie Monster in his element, just eating all the friggin' hot dogs he wants, and then all of a sudden he just puts a random protester in a chokehold. Like, I'm sorry, this is America. Get over here. Just like yeets him out of the way. He's just like, get out of here, buddy.
Oh my gosh! This still with the. Of course, did you see the clip of the Pickles game where he had gotten laid out?
Oh, I can imagine this naked guy just like running around drunk, like woohoo.
And he's coming down the line, and all of a sudden you just see this bad guy go like, "Oh, nah," and he comes in and goes, "Choo choo." It just laid him completely out. And it's like, number one, it's hard enough to see inside of those things. You're only dealing with so much air and you can only see so much. So the fact that he even saw him to be able to lay him out was already impressive enough. So I mean, we had a lot of duds that very well could have been studs going the other way. But a lot of funny situations at hand. But on that note, that'll do it for us here for the Ruckus and the Menace podcast. My Twitter handle is Spenis Menace with DA in the middle because the full name could not fit in the characters.
Elon.
What the heck? What the heck, Ruckus? You had one job. You had one job. You forgot. We forgot. You forgot we were still finishing up.
Honestly,
Okay.
I'm doing two things at once here. But anyways, my
There's the dud. There's the real dud. Ruckus for misunderstanding the assignments.
You're welcome. Why, Svenis? Out of all the torment I've given you over the past few episodes, you just you pressed the button that made you sweat a little bit in the face, and it was either leave it alone or call Ruckus out on his crap and put a dud in. And you pushed that button.
I had to wake up and choose violence. But
God
it was
damn it,
probably the
Spanish.
best time. It was the best time to wake up and choose violence because I'm like, it's right there at the very end of the show.
Yeah, I was doing the showdown, guilty as charged. My Twitter is RuckusSports97, and also, if you want to check us out on a new platform on the podcasts, there is a platform called Pocket Casts. I just added our feed to that, and now you can listen to us there. I will have a link for that in the description of the YouTube video. If you're listening on Spotify and other platforms, thank you for listening. Even though it wasn't on YouTube or whatnot, I understand. Spotify, as far as I know, is done fairly well. Haven't gotten much traction on Rumble, but Rumble's a smaller platform. Amazon Music, I haven't heard a lot of, but yeah. Let us know if you have any questions about what we talk about, and or what other news you think could come in the future. Spanish, you got anything else, or are you about done?
Nope, that's about it. That's about it.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Ruckus and the Menace podcast. I am Ruckus,
And I'm Spence the Menace.
and have a good week and weekend, and just keep on going, keep on trucking. Have a good one.
See you guys on the other side.